Okay, so I know it's been a little bit since I uploaded a video. Sorry about that. I always say, "Oh yeah, I really have a lot of stuff planned. I just haven't gotten around to it," and then I just don't get around to it. um, but obviously, 2026 is looking like it's shaping up to be a big year for Power Rangers. Hopefully, between VR Troopers and Power Rangers Prime ending, to a new Mighty Morphin series and possibly more coming from Boom, and then of course production for the Disney Plus show is supposed to be starting this year. So with all of that, there is hopefully a lot to motivate me to make videos again, as well as just stuff from the old show or the old comics that I will want to talk about. But I figured we're going to start a little small today. I have my old Canon couple tier list over here, and since I only made this last year, there's really not much to update it with, but we do have two new Canon couples that should be added to this tier list, especially since by coincidence they're both MLM. They're both two guys, and that's pretty cool. I know it's been a common criticism in this fandom that there aren't a lot of gay pairings in general. I mean, look just in this tier list, how many hetero pairings we have compared to gay pairings. I believe even in this tier list, it's only Ari and Remy, Ori and Alea, and Salem and Maxie. And Journey and Kevor. Because Journey was non-binary. R.I.P. So yeah, that's only. Oh, and of course Izzy and Fern. How could I forget them? It wasn't just the comics. We actually did get a gay pair in the show before it ended. But yeah, so overall that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, and Adam and Rocky. Should I count that? Ugh. I feel like I shouldn't count that. It's still in a very nebulous, like, was this meant to be canon or not? I'm still keeping it on here just because I'm pretty sure it was, but nothing's ever come out and confirmed it, but whatever. Point is, there aren't a lot of gay pairings in Power Rangers, and but now we have two new ones. The first one is Ryanth and Xylan. They're from the mini-series, I'm still kind of new to comics. What's the 12-issue classification? A maxi series, I think. Anyway, Ranger Academy was a 12-issue series that kind of published alongside the end of the 2016 Mighty Morphin series. It's not related. It's its own separate thing. And actually, Ryanth and Xylan were a pair that I kind of left out. Like, I thought about adding it when I first made this tier list, because kind of like Adam and Rocky is one of those where it's like, I'm pretty sure they're canon, but I'm not sure if it's like, intended to be canon. But I was actually in conversation with the author of Ranger Academy, and it was confirmed to me that yes, Ryanth and Xylan were intended to be in a relationship back when they were in Ranger Academy, before Xylan tragically died horribly. And yeah, when you read the book, like I said, it's really obvious, especially with the context, because Ryanth is the Red Ranger, and he's the father of the main character Sage, and it is like so obviously he is very obviously playing like the widower husband to his husband, and love wins or loses, I guess. And then the second one is probably a little more well known. It's June and Mark, the Black Ranger and the Blue Ranger of Power Rangers Prime. the the intended new main series that came out these past few years. And Prime is going to be something that I'm definitely talking about on the channel once it finishes in April. Yes, April. It's 2 more issues and we're skipping February. So yeah, that's going to be its own beast. I'm not going to go too far into that right now. But they are the canon ship of the team. Actually, by the time of this recording, Ryan and Valentina have officially broken up. Hooray! Good job. She did dump him. I wish, it was portrayed as a little less tragic, but that's it's a whole other thing. Point is, Valentina is free, and it'd be great if she could hook up with Lauren before the series ends. Okay, cool. So anyway, let's judge these final 2 ships for this year's Valentine's Day. So Ryanth and Xylan, these 2, it's a little hard to rank them because they are ultimately a very tragic pair. Like I said, Xylan, without giving away spoilers for the series, because you really should read Ranger Academy. It's really good. Xylan, died. He died. He sacrificed himself so Sage could be freed from Dark Spectre's possession back when she was a little kid, and Ryanth in particular was forced to kill him. And it's very tragic and sad, and they were really cute together. They had a really cute school romance budding that got tragically cut short, and Ryanth has been dealing with the guilt of that for at least 13 years. Very sad, very tragic, and we don't get much of them actually together, and as I said, even though it's very, very obvious on a reread that they were meant to be together, it's never explicitly said, which is a bummer. And they don't kiss or even hug or anything too explicitly romantic. Unfortunately, it is easy to see them as just friends, even though Ranger Academy as a whole is very gay, so I think it would be safe to assume that they are meant to be gay. But overall, I don't know. I never want to be the judge of these authors didn't want to make them gay, because clearly there was the intention, and it was, like I said, it was confirmed to me through the author. And I don't know what happens behind the scenes. I don't know what censorship they have to deal with. So, I don't want to judge too harshly. And so, let's see. So, where do I want to put them? I do really like them. Overall, I do really like them. I really like their story. I love how tragic it is. I just wish they had more time, both in universe and out of universe. So, I think I'm going to put them in their fine. Get over there. Thank you. They're fine. Yeah. I mean, they serve the story well. They're obviously, Ryanth is really hot when he's all grizzled and tragic and sad over his dead husband. Yeah, no. They're great. I do like them. I do like them a lot. I wish more people paid attention to them. And then the second one, as I said, June and Mark, the Black and Blue Rangers for Power Rangers Prime. Okay. So, overall, my feelings on Prime are very mixed, and my feelings on June and Mark are also mixed. I think it's great. As you can see, I made their first kiss their icon image because some people will say that this is our first guy kiss on Power Rangers. That actually isn't true. If you go to the Solar Ranger Focus issue in Darkest Hour, I believe it's issue number 120. If you go back to that issue, Salem and Maxie do kiss. We do see them kiss on the lips. But in fairness, it is in the background of the panel. It happens. You can see it happen, but it's not in focus. it's definitely a background event. June and Mark's kiss here is, it has its own panel. It's right in your face. There's no missing it. And I mean, that deserves its own, that deserves its own recognition. I'm not going to say that, like, oh, Salem and Maxie, I'm not going to say that this isn't significant. It definitely is. It's just that technically speaking, this isn't the first guy kiss. Salem and Maxie were. But June and Mark is definitely the first guy kiss to be the focus, to get the focus of the panel. Compared to how, like, you know, Ari and Remy get lots of, like, focus kisses. Ori and Leia had a helmet kiss. Izzy and Vern had almost kisses. That doesn't count. The show didn't allow kissing anyway. The show didn't allow kissing for all genders. That's true equality. Okay. So anyway, June and Mark. It's kind of hard for me to talk about them. June and Mark, unfortunately, is obviously, it got cut short by Prime's cancellation. In fact, recording this video now, we still have 2 issues left, so who knows what could happen with them who knows what could happen with them by the time the series ends. Though I'm sure they'll end the series together. I really have no doubt about that. So I'm going to say really nicely, I think June and Mark is a great step forward for Power Rangers by making the main romance of the Prime team 2 guys. And they do it in a way where you can't, like, dodge it or just think of it as platonic, like Adam and Rocky. Adam and Rocky was pathetic. But anyway, so I can say it's very significant and a great step forward for Power Rangers. But I'm not too invested in them as a couple, unfortunately. I know a lot of it can be blamed on how, like I said, whatever was going to happen in their romance story got cut short by Prime's cancellation. But at the same time, it's it's difficult to get too far into it without, like, going into a whole rant about my issues with Prime in general. Especially when, like, the full context of my problems with it, they need more room for discussion than in a ship tier list video. So I think I'm going to put them in, I like the version in my head, because there's a lot going for them. They have a pretty good dynamic. They have good banter. They're definitely a higher class and lower class. Well, I guess that's not really the right way to put it. They're on different social classes, different standings of social class, because June is Eltarian and Mark is a refugee, and Eltarians rule the Earth. In Prime, Eltarians rule the Earth, and refugees are kind of seen as lesser or, like, kind of oppressed. So there's that, you know, classic class divide, forbidden romance type going on. And I wish the book took the time to discuss that more before making them, like, totally romantic. Because, like, I like how the book starts out with them. I like that June kind of starts to like Mark first in what kind of comes off as a very, like, idealized version of Mark, because June is basically seeing Mark as having all this freedom that he doesn't have. And Mark, to his credit, is kind of, like, put off by June at first. He doesn't really let him in too close, and he kind of keeps him at his distance, and he's much closer to his roommate Orion. Yeah, that Orion. But then suddenly, and this kind of is their dynamic going forward, it's June kind of being all like, oh, wow, Mark's so cool, and he's so like, oh, Mark, I need to like check up on him all the time, while Mark is just kind of like doing his own thing. I thought that was actually kind of interesting, especially considering their different social standings. But then, after like a whole thing where Mark is like kidnapped by the VR troopers, and then he gets released as a trade for Lauren. I know if you aren't reading Prime, that sounds like an insane sentence, but we'll get to that in a few months. Suddenly Mark is like acting all lovey-dovey over June. Like now he's suddenly head over heels for June, like out of nowhere. And they hadn't even really like, I don't know. I don't think there wasn't enough build up, I think, on Mark's side. Like I can see why June likes Mark. And even then, it kind of felt like a shallow, like, projection of what June wanted from his life, how he saw that in Mark, and that's what June liked. I thought that had the potential to be a really interesting, like, take on, like, a romance, kind of like a more mature, like, discussion that was kind of like a more mature, and unique romance that was a little more than just the typical like suddenly they like each other, which is a very prevalent in Melissa's Power Ranger stories. And it seemed like it started out that way, but then it turned into, oh, now suddenly Mark is like teasing a kiss from him when Mark was just tortured by armed police. It just kind of jumped too quickly into the cutesy romance stuff when I wanted to see more of like kind of the more gritty and uncomfortable. I don't want to say uncomfortable, but just basically I just wanted there to be more recognition of how June was kind of putting Mark on a pedestal more because Mark reflected all the things that June couldn't have, and not really so much from Mark himself. And maybe, well, actually, probably it wouldn't because this all happened in the first arc, 12 whole issues. But yeah, I think if I was writing June and Mark, I definitely would not make them so lovey-dovey so quickly. I do not think I would have them kiss at issue 12, or if I did, Mark would kind of not... I kind of would want Mark to be a little more hesitant and wary when it came to June suddenly liking him. I think it just would have made things more interesting. It would have, given them more... It would have made things more interesting. And, I'm sorry. So it's hard for me to... It's hard for me to agree with people going on about how cute Mark and June are, or how important they are, because they are very important. But I just wish there could have been more to them, like how it was set up. But then again, I wish there was more to this. I wish there was more nuanced political discussion happening. That's kind of a main theme with my issues with Prime, but I'll get with that in a few months. Hopefully that made sense. Basically, I think they would have been... Basically, I think they're fine, but I would have made them messier. I would have made them messier. I think I would have made them fight a bit more, and I would have just wanted more build-up, more slow burn into a romance, rather than just they start talking, June likes him, Mark is kind of whatever, Mark's kind of doing his own thing, but then suddenly Mark really likes him, out of nowhere. It just went too fast. It just pumped on it just hit the gas a bit too early, which is ironic considering the comic is ending too quickly. I don't know. We'll see what happens in these last 2 issues with them, especially now that June has returned from Eltar, and it's a whole thing where Mark is really missing him, and that's messing with his work on their Zords. So, I mean, obviously they're going to reunite, and I have no doubts that the book is going to end with them getting together officially, since there's not really much time to do anything else. But I don't know. Just with how it's presented, I think it could have been more than just a typical Power Rangers meet cute and then cute romance and cute first kiss. I don't know. I would have preferred more nuance. So anyway, so that's my complete and updated tier list. I guess we'll check back in again next year if there are any more canon ships that have been added to the comics, or heck, even if we have a new show by February of 2027. Probably not, but I could still, hope. I can dream, I can wish. Yeah, that's basically it. Anyway, happy Valentine's Day, and I'll see you later.